All right. Welcome back, folks, to the FF Face-Off, part of the Face-Off Sports Network. Today, we are coming at you with a waiver wire show. We'll discuss if you have any questions, anything, trades, because some leagues are coming up on trade deadlines here. There's a Cam Akers graphic just in case you're interested. But yeah, we're going to talk about all that stuff. We'll answer your questions. We'll have a good time while doing it. Probably a little hijinks, too. Feel free to visit fffaceoff.com for your fantasy football, NFL sports betting needs. Also, follow the program on X at fffaceoff. My name is Michael Hoff. You can follow me on X at the FF Realist. My partner in crime, the ever handsome, the ever charming, the ever marvelous Anthony Servino. He can be followed at the Real NFL Guru. Anthony Sweetheart, how's about you?
Doing good. Waiver wire week 12. Can't believe we're in week 12 already, but still a
Yeah.
long season ahead. I know fantasy, we're going to be getting into the playoffs, but obviously after fantasy is done, we jump right into the NFL playoffs and heavier into sports betting for one of the best betting times on the calendar, the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. I like to remind everybody, if you don't know, if you're new, we are a year-round show. So off-season NFL fantasy content, NFL draft, NFL free agency, dynasty, redraft, best ball, high stakes. We literally will cover it all.
Damn straight. Just saying hello to some of the folks, the regulars, the Zachs, the Alberts of the world. Got a little yo here from Judah. What up, buddy? All right. So, Judah. Anyway, all right. So Arturo wants to know, hi, trade JJ for Lamar and JSN. Well, I'm assuming you need a quarterback then.
Wow.
I mean, if you're getting, listen, Lamar was contained for the most part by the Steelers, but that tends to usually be the case. I think Lamar, they're going up against the Chargers next week. Not the best matchup again, but I still think Lamar gets back to where he's at. I mean, I would do this deal as long as you're not exactly leaving a gaping hole at your wide receivers. Justin Jefferson's a big piece. Anthony, what says you?
No, is it I don't think it's a super flex league. If it's
He
a
didn't
one
say it.
quarterback league, who is your other quarterback that you were trying to upgrade? Justin
Right.
Jefferson, I get he's been solid. He hasn't had a lot of those big spike weeks, but he's been fairly consistent outside of last week all season long. You're getting JSN back, who seems to be ascending. I don't hate the deal. I just don't love getting rid of Justin Jefferson. But again, like if you're piss poor at quarterback,
Right.
and maybe you had Dak, maybe you back Dak up with Daniel Jones, like how it goes. Then you need to make a move. Hey,
Tommy
I'm
DeVito.
a competitive team. A quarterback's a weak spot. I have a good wide receiver depth. Like then yeah, you make this move. But I just don't love giving up Justin Jefferson. But again, if JSN continues to ascend and play the way he has in the past two games, then I think you'll be fine. But it's all
Yeah.
predicated on what you're going to get out of JSN rest of the way.
Yeah. I would do the trade, but yeah, those questions do need to be asked. Because context is key. That's what we always say. By the way, there's 6 teams on bye this week. This is the gross week where all the teams are on bye. So, so we're gonna help you out with all the questions. Actually, different underscore stroke 69 over on the Twitch. Fantastic show though. Anthony, we usually don't do start sits, but we'll answer. Stafford or Herbert? And that's for this week, I assume. I assume this is a start sit question. I don't know why I keep getting text messages. I just put my phone on Do Not Disturb because that's annoying. Keep pinging in my ear. If you're asking about this week in particular, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. I already mentioned Lamar Jackson's going up against the Chargers, so that is a good matchup for Justin Herbert. So I would roll that way. That game is going to be Monday night, actually. A little Monday Night Football action.
Yeah, Stafford, he's been playing really well. The Eagles on paper, their defense overall, really, not just on paper, they're getting better.
Yeah.
But this is a projected shootout, and I can see it going either way. It could also be low scoring. Like if Philly doesn't get going offensively, like we know Jalen Hurts could stumble sometimes. This could also be a lower scoring game. But whereas Justin Herbert, he's ascending, he looks healthy, he's scrambling. They're throwing more, and I think I like his matchup a little bit more in the Harbaugh Bowl.
Yes, right. I'm sorry, the Hardball Bowl. I completely forgot about that. But yeah, all right. So yeah,
It's
I'm
what
in.
they played in the Super Bowl. Like how like that's an unprecedented thing.
Yeah, I remember that. Unfortunately, being a Niner fan. Um, I'm trying to get a little more context here from Arturo. He did say, I got Jaden and my wide receivers will be Pickens, Neighbors, and JSN. So I immediately asked him, is this super flex? Because then what are we doing? Because, I mean, I know Jaden's starting to dip a bit, but I don't think it's that dramatic where we got to trade Justin Jefferson.
No, if it's not super flex and you have Jaden Daniels, I would keep rolling with Jaden Daniels. My
Right.
biggest worry with Jaden Daniels is Cliff Kingsbury has a history of his offenses kind of regressing down the stretch. That
Yeah, he
does worry
does.
me. It does worry me.
But does it worry you
You
enough to
know,
make this move?
Probably not. I mean, he's got listen, you got Dallas this week. Tennessee, their defense is more middle of the pack. They used to be a little bit more dominant early. Then coming out of the bye week, New Orleans, Philly, which is probably going to be a very meaningful game, and then in the fantasy championship, Atlanta. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not, unless this is super flex, as Hop is saying, you're not
Yeah.
making this move, giving up Justin Jefferson. Like, I don't think it's necessary. And plus, Lamar gets Pittsburgh again one more
Yeah.
time. That,
Yeah. Yeah.
Pittsburgh, just like that was my narrative when I said sit Jaden Daniels against Pittsburgh. They know how to defend these quarterbacks. They have the personnel to
Yeah.
spy them pretty damn good.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, they're well equipped because they deal with Lamar Jackson twice
Yeah.
a year. So, yeah, 1000%. I will just say, if you guys want to cut the line in terms of questions, you can always send in a super chat. Then we will answer those first come, first serve right away. Judah did come back in and say, giveaway Hurts, Flowers, and Jennings for Nico and Burrow. I think I would. Think I like the side of Nico and Burrow. I mean, Burrow, the Bengals are the bumbling Bengals right now. They can't seem to win a game, but Joe Burrow is playing fantastic football right now
I feel
in
like you're
terms of
giving up.
fantasy.
You're giving up a lot.
You are,
Um, yeah, like
well,
Hurts and Burrow should wash. And I guess that's right. I mean, I think that's fair. I guess now that I think about it, for Nico, what he could potentially bring down the stretch, like
right.
he had on paper a bad game. You got to remember that opening player in that opening series, he had a 74-yard touchdown called back because of a Laramie Tunsil hold. So yeah, yeah, like it looks like more than it is. I make that move.
I would do the deal. Listen, I get it. Jennings played fantastic last week. Flowers gives you those pop games, but I don't think those guys are going to be crazy down the stretch. And Anthony, you're smiling, so I think you see our super chat.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Our resident troll ATL. I've been waiting
An
all day for this.
apology.
I've been
An
waiting all day
apology
for
for
this.
what? What was he right about?
Well, he told you Joe Douglas would be crap, and you professed your love, and
I mean,
you threw rose petals when Joe Douglas walked out of the bathroom.
Outside of missing on the quarterbacks, right? Plural, because he kind of missed on Aaron Rodgers and he obviously missed on Zach Wilson. He had outstanding draft classes. He hit on Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, and the cornerback Sauce Gardner, I think, in the same draft. Like, and a couple other players too, Jermaine Johnson, Michael Carter II. Like, he's a good GM. I don't put this all on Joe Douglas. He's going to take the fall.
Well, I don't put it all on Joe
Woody
Douglas.
Johnson, how about fire himself?
Joe Douglas deserves more blame than you want to give him, though.
Do you not think Joe Douglas...
That offensive line. What about the offensive line?
I mean, they drafted offensive linemen. They couldn't stay healthy. Mekhi Becton had an eating disorder. He ate way too much. Yes. Elijah Vera Tucker can't stay on the field. Yeah, but they tried to, he tried to address it this offseason, bringing in Tyron Smith, but like Dallas let him go for a reason. Morgan Moses, he did what he was supposed to do, Joe Douglas. And do you not think, I don't think it was Joe Douglas's decision to fire the head coach, and Saleh should have never been fired. I think the defense stopped playing when they fired Saleh because they love Saleh. They played for him last year. They kept the Jets in games last year. And I don't think it was Joe Douglas saying, you know what, we just lost one of our best pass rushers. We have Hassan Reddick. Let's not pay him yet. Let's wait till week 8. I mean, that's Woody fucking Johnson.
I will grant you the biggest flaw for the Jets forever is the owner. That's always the thing. It starts at the top. That's what they always say. But Joe Douglas, yeah, he did have a good draft class, but he did have some holes. And we have another super chat from ATL who wants to let you know Sauce Gardner is a bust and Garrett Wilson has regressed. I wouldn't call Sauce Gardner a bust, but I will say that guy wants no part of physicality. The Jets missed 20 tackles against the Cardinals, and so Jeff Ulbrich tries to do like some tackling drills, and Sauce says, we don't need to do that. We know how to do that. Guy, I watch you run away from contact all the time.
He has Deion Sanders syndrome.
He runs away from contact harder than I run away from debt collectors. Like get out of here with this.
But yeah,
I think Garrett Wilson would be better if he was in an offense that didn't have Nathaniel Hackett's fingerprints all over it and an aging Aaron Rodgers who can't seem to get his shit together. Even though he played better last week, but whatever.
Who knows what's going to happen with the Jets moving forward, what they're going to do, Aaron Rodgers seems to want to come back. I don't know if you watched it. I know ATL pay attention to Coward. Coward went in a little bit on the Jets situation and saying that Joe Douglas firing, because he defends Joe Douglas like I do, has Aaron Rodgers' fingerprints all over it because apparently Joe Douglas was not sold on bringing Aaron Rodgers back. And if Woody Johnson wants Aaron Rodgers back, and if Aaron Rodgers wants to come back, guess who's coming back? And guess who's leaving?
Right. Well,
so we don't know. We're not in those walls.
The New York Jets are the comedic soap opera that we didn't know that we needed, but we get it every year. D Money. This is actually interesting, Anthony. This is actually a waiver wire question. So I'm 7th in priority. So I'm sure Jonnu Smith and Will Dissly will be gone. Is there a deep sleeper tight end that could have a boom type of game in week 12? And again, this one, like I mentioned earlier, we got 6 teams on bye this week. That's Kenny Loggins. I went through the danger zone style here with these priorities and the waiver wires. What says you, Anthony? Is there a tight end you could think of besides Dissly? I know you're high on Dissly, but
and Jonnu. I like them both.
All right, well, let's assume you can't get either.
Yeah, and he's saying they're going to be gone. I don't know. Let me pull something up. Let me dig in because those are the 2 big ones. And then we, like you said, we're dealing with so many teams on a bye.
Right.
So we're in week 12. Let me skim around. I don't even know what to tell you that's going to be there.
You can't get
Theo Johnson from the New York Giants.
Does have a good matchup this week. Yes,
he's an ascending player, and Tommy DeVito. We know the narrative: young quarterbacks, new quarterbacks, tight end. Theo Johnson has been dominating the snaps over Bellinger all year. He's been coming on a little bit, and he gets Tampa. So, if you want to bargain hunt the tight end position, my guy would be Theo.
And I have yet to
Jatavian Sanders, Carolina. He gets Kansas City, but I think I'd rather have Theo.
Yeah. I was trying to do something here, but it's not working. But the Buccaneers have allowed, they had a bye last week, but they've allowed 10 or more points to tight ends in 7 of the 10 games this year. So,
jeez.
So there is that going for Theo Johnson. So yeah, there you go. There's your answer. So happy hunting. Jared Fortin says, "Hey guys, big thanks to Mixon." Yeah, I went against him. So yeah, thanks a lot, asshole. I need a wide receiver to play. I'm kidding. I love Joe Mixon. I need a wide receiver to play over Waddle in PPR. Rome, Wandell, Douglas, who had a nice game last week. Elijah Moore or Alec Pierce.
So wide receiver over Waddle,
yeah.
PPR.
Waddle, what a disappointment, huh? And Elias is saying, he commented to Jared, said, I would stick with Waddle. So we got a little action going in the chat, which, by the way, as long as you're in the chat, feel free to hit the like button, guys.
I mean, and who does Miami get this week? New England? I don't know. Let me pull up the historical matchup.
He is
Waddle. He went off. Actually, he's gone off. Oddly enough, Waddle a lot against New England. Can this be the get right game?
You want to?
If we're
So
following historical trends, maybe.
And see, here's the deal with Wandell. Like, I like Theo Johnson this week. I think DeVito's obviously going to look for neighbors. Like, we're not going to all of a sudden get every single skill position from the Giants that's going to ball out. Douglas did well last week, but
Theo,
I think
baby. Theo.
Theo, yes, very good. That's not the right Theo, but yes, very good.
When I think Theo, it's Theo Huxtable.
No shit. You should be on a Bill Cosby quiz show.
Oh,
or the Cosby Show quiz show. You don't want to get quizzed about anything else you did behind the scenes. I think I actually might stick with Waddle here this week. I get it. The question is entirely fair. Waddle has been a major disappointment, especially for where you drafted. But for me, these other options, we got and Cleveland's going up against Pittsburgh.
And there's supposed to be rain.
Yeah, I think I stick with Waddle here. The only one I could see that could could pop, but and he doesn't need a lot to do it would be Pierce. But that's not enough for me to say, yeah, I'm doing Pierce over Waddle.
And they get Detroit. The matchup is there, and then Roma Dunze gets Minnesota. The matchup is there, but I could also see that Minnesota-Chicago game being like 9-6.
Yeah, because both. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, so I'll put it this way, Jared. I would still play Waddle, but if you're hell bent on not playing Waddle, then I'd go Pierce.
This might be a Waddle week. This might be a Waddle week for me, where I'm going to go all in and it's going to blow up my face, or it's going to look good. But that historical prediction, he lights up to 7 for 4 for 46 the last time, but then 7 for 21 for 121 and 1, 4 for 86. He has a 4 for 69 and 1, 5 for 27 and 1, 4 for 61 and 1. So he scored a touchdown in all but 3 games against New England.
All right,
that's nice.
Ride the lightning, baby. All right, let's go back up here. Let me see. All right, here we go. Oh, Jared also says Tracy Jr. or Aaron Jones rest of season. I feel like you asked me this today, Jared, on the X perhaps, or somewhere I was asked this because I said Aaron Jones would be my pick. Anthony, rest of season.
I might lean Tyrone Tracy. Aaron Jones, 4 straight games under 12.2 PPR points. Cam Akers, is starting to cut into the snap count. Akers played 37 snaps last week. And at least 23 since 3 straight weeks since rejoining the Vikings. Aaron Jones on a 4-game touchdown drought. Like Tyrone Tracy, another reason why I like him is Tommy DeVito. We don't know if he's going to hyper target Nate. Like, we don't know the version of Tommy DeVito we're going to get. Maybe we see more targets going in Tracy's direction. He's a converted wide receiver. So that would exploit his skill set even more.
I'm looking at the strength of schedule too. I'm actually thinking Jared, I hope this was you who asked me earlier, because now I think I'm pivoting. I think I am going Tracy. Giants have a better schedule rest of the way. I hate to keep saying, well, Tommy DeVito, because Tommy DeVito, he's probably going to come out of the woodwork and play well like a week or two, and then he's going to go back to what he did last year. I don't
even know, because he's not going to surprise anybody this year. Last year, he surprised people. They have film on him now.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito isn't going to be a surprise anymore, like selling sausages in fucking North Jersey.
I fucking hate the Giants.
Doing autographs at pizzerias.
Yeah. He did a Boomer and Geo Live in New Jersey with WFAN, which, by the way, I will be at Boomer and Geo Live this Friday out in Huntington.
Really?
Yes, out in Huntington in the Paramount. So
does Boomer still get along with Carton?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, they still, I don't think they're best friends, but they still talk.
They should. I feel like me and Craig would get along good.
You probably would. Yeah, you probably would. Just don't talk to him about any soccer bets that you want to do. But yeah, you guys would probably hit it off fine. But yeah, I will be there. I'll be at the Paramount. Come say hello. I'll be there earlier at Spotlight with our resident troll ATL. So there you go. Come pop over. Elias wants to know, would you guys trade Jetta, Josh Jacobs, and Jalen Warren for CMC, Chase Brown, and Terry McLaurin? It's a 2 RB, 2 wide receiver, 3 flex format, by the way. We love context, so thank you, kind sir, Mr. Elias. I think I do that deal, actually. Yeah, I would do it to get the CMC, Chase Brown, and Terry McLaurin side. I would do that. With the Commanders' offense is going to play better than what we saw on Thursday. I think what we saw on Thursday was more so a product of the Eagles' defense getting more and more acclimated to the system.
And Terry McLaurin, and that's on Cliff Kingsbury, not moving him around, not moving. So, like he was lined up on McKinn's Kool-Aid the whole time.
So then I guess the lesson, or the question I should say here, Anthony, is then do we trust Cliff Kingsbury to move Terry McLaurin around, or is he going to see what you saw sitting at home and he's going to be like, nah, fuck it, we'll be all right?
I mean, I don't. History says no, but again, like I do expect Washington. They have a couple of nice matchups upcoming. You have the Jefferson. Jacobs is actually playing really well, over 20 fantasy points in 3 of his past 4 games. He's starting to score now. Jalen Warren, like that is Najee's backfield. He's going to have his games where he's going to get some touches, but when it's all said and done, Najee is going to be on the field when it counts, and we've just seen this all season long. And quite frankly, I think Najee should be on the field more because I think he's a better running back, contrary to what fantasy Twitter thinks. On the other side, you got CMC, who I do worry about his health. I don't think he looks quite right. Chase Brown looks like the player we thought he would be.
Some of that, though, don't you think some of this with CMC, which I agree, he doesn't have the same burst that he looks like he had, say week 8 last year. But don't you think a product of that is the fact that the guy hasn't played all year and wasn't really doing a lot of running around because he had to rest it? I'm looking at it from that perspective where I think it was more him getting ramped up. And now I think the 49ers, actually the resident troll texted me today and said, hey, is this game for the 49ers against the Packers? That must win. And I played every 49er game for the rest of the season is a must win because now they're in jeopardy of not making the playoffs because they fucked around and now they found out. Anyway, be that as it may, point being, I think Kyle Shanahan is going to just say, CMC, we just got to use you, dude. Like this is happening.
It's Jefferson versus CMC. They're in the same class of players. Who would you rather have? And then I would put Jacobs and Chase Brown, and then I would clearly want McLaurin. So it's definitely McLaurin. Then it's a matter of, do I want Chase Brown or Josh Jacobs, and do I want Justin Jefferson or CMC? I think this is an even try. I don't think there's a lot of
I'm going to CMC, Chase Brown, Terry McLaurin side of it.
Yeah,
I get it. There's good things to say about the other side. That's why it's a fair trade.
The reason why I will lean the other side, the CMC side, is because Terry McLaurin has more use to you than Jalen Warren. But I don't think there's a lot of difference between the core 4 players. But I do think there's a big difference between Terry McLaurin and Jalen Warren.
All right. DG Wavy, hello there. Marvin Harrison Jr. or Josh Downs. He clearly means for this week, one would imagine. The Cardinals are coming off of a bye week, and they are going up against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. As Anthony yawns, I'm sorry if I'm boring you, sir. The Lions are going to Indianapolis. So that's Mr. Downs will be waiting for him there. I'd go Marvin Harrison Jr. here.
Both are in good matchups. Downs looks quarterback proof and matchup proof. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., he's been very frustrating, but during this stretch, he's had a really tough stretch of matchups, all top 10 against wide receivers, and he played well in a few of them, popped in a few of them. The rest of season schedule coming off this bye is outstanding, starting with Seattle. I will also lean Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to bring you a higher ceiling than what Downs can bring against Detroit.
All right.
I think Downs would be a good floor play.
Okay.
But I don't know if he's going to bring the type of ceiling that Marvin could potentially bring. This Seattle-Arizona game could be a shootout for all we know.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. Stephen McMahon over on the X. Evening, chaps. Evening, sir. Need some wide receiver advice. Should I drop D-Hop or Cedric Tillman and pick up either Josh Downs, Jerry Jeudy, or Quentin Johnson off of waivers? I say no. I say no. You know what I think?
D-Hop.
Would you drop one of those guys? And for those
Not,
names,
not D-Hop. Like Tillman he was a letdown last week.
Sure.
But we saw Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore both pop.
Yeah.
Jameis is throwing it over 40 times a game since taking over. Granted, the next few matchups are not great, but they're going to still throw the ball with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
It is hard leaving Josh Downs on waivers. And if I'm making any move, it will be Tillman for Downs. Otherwise, I'm standing pat.
No interest in Quentin Johnson? Johnston?
His 3 targets a game? Like, I get it. He's scoring.
I'm just asking.
But he's getting like 3. Quentin Johnston is Alec Pierce.
Sure.
Quentin Johnston is a more talented MVS right now.
We do love some MVS around here, especially when he was in my DraftKings lineup last week. Thanks for that, buddy.
He's not getting like. I think outside of one game, his volume's been roughly 4 targets, 3 targets.
I will agree with you. I'm not going to drop either guy, but if I did, it would be Tillman for Downs.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to do it. So yeah.
By the way, he scored a touchdown in 3 straight games. His volume 5, 2, and 8. His catches 4 for 118. He popped on 5 targets, and then he goes 2 for 24 and a touchdown. And then the game he has 8 targets against Cincinnati, a prime smash matchup, 2 for 48 and a touchdown. I mean that wasn't like he wasn't lined up against Deion Sanders and the Cincinnati Bengals. Like that was a secondary you could beat up on a little bit, and he took 2 of 8 targets for 48 and a touchdown. And he had a nice celebration at the end.
I'm gonna play this sound drop for our next question.
You have no manners.
No,
because this guy does have marbles because his name is Mr. Grapefruit, so he's got grapefruits. Love that for you, buddy. Let's answer these.
Is that Jesus smoking weed?
It's supposed to be Matthew McConaughey from True Detective, which, by the way, is unmatched, in my opinion.
It still looks like Jesus smoking weed.
It does look like Jesus. Either way, someone's smoking. Well, fuck it. Who the hell cares? You care, clearly. You could talk about it off air. Text me. Hey, guys, got Bijan and Kamara on bye and am 5 and 6. Oofa. Move Bijan for Derrick Henry or Kamara for Josh Jacobs to keep my season alive. I could see Bijan for Derrick Henry for sure. I'd rather not deal Kamara for Josh Jacobs, especially you didn't say this. It doesn't say if it's PPR or not. If it's PPR, I definitely don't want to trade Kamara for Josh Jacobs. I could definitely do Bijan for Derrick Henry, though. He did also add he's starting Pollard and Trey Benson currently. So, yeah, Trey Benson's that's a potential disaster there for you, sir. Who's Tennessee got? Tennessee's going up against Houston Texans on a short week. I would do the Bijan for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, looking at it, I think that is probably the way to go. Now, Derrick Henry, 3 out of his past 4 under 14 PPR points. He is scoring, not quite getting the volume, under 13 carries in 2 of those games. Down the stretch, Chargers, Philly, they are both top 6 defenses. Fantasy Championship, Houston, top 5. Like, this is a tough stretch. They even get in fantasy, week 16, Pittsburgh again. Like, that is a tough run for Derrick Henry. I don't mind the Kamara for Josh Jacobs, where Jacobs, 3 out of his past 4, I said earlier, over 20 fantasy points. He is getting the volume. He's scoring. He's even more involved as a receiver out of the backfield, and I like his schedule. Kamara's on like a 4-game scoring drought right now. And yes, he's getting it done otherwise, catching the ball in yards, but like Taysom Hill, it seems like he's vulturing him a little bit. I'd rather not give up Bijan Robinson. I just wouldn't. I'd rather have Bijan and flip Kamara for Josh Jacobs. Jacobs, you got San Francisco, Miami, Detroit's tough, Seattle, New Orleans, and then Minnesota's tough. So like 1, 2, 3, 4 of these matchups are in the 20s, one of which is Seattle's middle of the pack. So you have better matchups here for Josh Jacobs to keep his momentum going. And I'm not even a Josh Jacobs guy, but the usage right now and his production in this offense is outstanding.
Weren't you a Josh Jacobs guy in the offseason? Or no?
Fuck no.
Oh,
he was supposed to be one of my busts.
You could have just said no.
Yeah,
Gee,
no,
right.
I was way out on Josh Jacobs, but he's performing well.
Maybe it was Pete then. I don't know. It was somebody here. I don't know. I forget what the fuck it was. It's okay.
I think it was me and Pete arguing about it.
Yeah, it's just like you and me argued about Brock Bowers and Dallas Goedert. How'd that work out for you, sweetheart? Which, by the way, I got somebody remind me whenever I hear Pittsburgh, I think of that thing you do when the one guy
great
says
movie
Pittsburgh, like like when he's all excited because they're going to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's a great movie, by the way.
Fantastic fucking movie. KJ Frederick, what's up, guys? Should I drop Algier for Roshan or Akers? Full point per reception, RB stash. I would. And Anthony, I believe you put out the waiver video, correct? That's out and about.
Yes, that went out early this morning around 10.
Mm-hmm.
Should I drop
and
Algier?
Was in there, right?
Yeah.
Is Roshan in there too?
Yes.
Yes, they both were. I fucking made the graphics. I should know, but whatever.
I think if you need a guy, if this is a stash, I think the stash is Cam Akers because he is starting to play more snaps. He's getting more touches. And I do feel like maybe Aaron Jones is breaking down a little bit. We said it earlier, 4 straight games under 12.2 PPR points without a touchdown, couple of tough matchups ahead. If you need somebody who could potentially start as a desperation flex play, Roshan Johnson. He had double-digit PPR points last week, 11 touches, 43 yards, and he scored. That usage matches. Remember earlier this season when Roshan had a 3-game stretch where he was getting roughly 10 touches. He was being used on a goal line. I think this new OC is going to start using him more. So I think Roshan, if you need a spot start, but if you're looking for a guy who could potentially be a thing in the next games.
Zach Linton coming in here. What up, Zach? Myers or Jerry Jeudy this week? He did add on. Both have terrible matchups in week 12. We've talked about Jerry Jeudy already. They're playing on Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sorry. And we said the Raiders going up against the Denver Broncos, which, by the way, my kicker streamer video is out. Will Lutz is my favorite kicker of the week in streamers. FYI. But Anthony, what says you here? Jacoby Myers or Jerry Jeudy? It is true. It's damn true. Both have terrible matchups.
Probably Jerry Jeudy. He seems to be getting some volume right now. I get weather could be a concern. The matchup isn't great, but Jameis Winston, he's going to sling it, right? Like, that's just what Jameis Winston's going to do. He even when he was a starter, he wasn't exactly protecting the football. He knows what he is at this juncture. He's going to let it go. Denver, obviously one of the better defenses in football. What are we going to see out of Jacoby Myers this week? Disappointing last week against Miami. He's had a couple of good games here and there, but I just don't exactly trust him. I don't trust the Raiders right now. It's hard.
That's what she said. Okay, we have a bunch of questions here. We'll kind of breeze through some of these. If you guys want to send in a super chat, you can cut the line. I have to get another beer soon. I'll answer this quick. Peyton Hendershot is a deep sleeper tight end. Yeah, deep sleeper is in a coma, but yes, right, Anthony?
For what? He's the third tight end in Kansas City.
Yeah, he's a deep sleeper, man.
I would say Noah Gray is more of the sleeper.
Watch that asshole. Ooh, if I could watch that asshole go off this weekend. Watch that happen. Albert, if that happens, Albert, I'm tweeting you right away, buddy. I got you covered. Bryce Long says 2 questions. Should I trade Rico Jennings and BTJ for CMC and 4-point passing touchdown AR5, or Herbert rest of the season? I'm still going with Justin Herbert only because I don't trust the Indianapolis Colts if Anthony Richardson comes out and has like a dud of a game, I don't because they already said Joe Flacco was going to start the rest of the season. That didn't last very long. Granted, Flacco plays his way out of it, but if I don't trust that AR is not going to play his way out of it. So I'd go Herbert as far as the quarterbacks. Should I make that trade? Rico, Jennings, and BTJ. Given what's going on with Trevor Lawrence and his arm, not to mention the Jaguars are on bye this week, I'd do that trade too.
Yeah, I do the trade. Like, Rico isn't really going to give you much. Jennings is playing outstanding, but the thing is, like, BTJ, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't come back, I think he's relatively useless down the stretch. And CMC, you're going to have a guy who's going to get the workload on a week in, week out basis. And as far as the quarterback situation, give me Justin Herbert. He's playing this might be the best stretch of football I've ever seen him play.
Well, okay.
I'm talking about not fantasy, but as an NFL quarterback. I've never been that impressed with Justin Herbert.
You have not.
This has been the best Justin Herbert I've ever seen him play as an NFL thrower of the football.
One of my
the way he's seeing the field right now.
One of my favorite social media fights is watching Anthony fight Justin Herbert truthers. Picks up his sword and goes to war in the morning. Kisses his wife and says, maybe I'll see you later. Search and kill, which sounds rather menacing. He's on the Twitch. I need a QB. I have Russell Wilson or Justin Herbert. Pick one. Okay.
I'm going to go Herbert.
I'm going Herbert this week.
Yeah. I like the spot for Russell Wilson. Cleveland's defense on their secondary, they're not good at all. But people are a little bit scared off. Supposedly the weather isn't going to be great. Weather doesn't scare me all that much, especially between like these two teams. Obviously, Russ isn't used to being in this weather, but he did play in Seattle. But Justin Herbert, again, he's throwing the ball more. He's starting to use his legs more. And his matchup, I would say, is just as good, if not better, than Russell Wilson's matchup on Monday night.
I just thought of another sound drop I need. I need Ollie Williams saying, it's going to rain. Family Guy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What? What's the matter? You okay?
No, I know.
Oh, okay, cool.
I didn't know Ollie Williams. Like, I knew the Family Guy reference, but I just didn't know the guy's name.
Yeah, let's go to Ollie Williams with our Blackie weather forecast. It's like, it's going to rain.
I like Herbert the pervert.
And then he said his umbrella. No, he said it's raining sideways. And then they said, do you want any soup, Ollie? He said, yes, what kind? Chunky. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Griff said, I got to drop one because Evans is coming off of IR. He's not really coming off of IR. He never went on IR, but he is practicing. So maybe you were able to put him in your IR spot, which that's cool for you. But if you had to drop one, because Evans is for some reason in your IR spot, does he drop Dowdle, Eckler, Tillman, or Cooper?
Dowdle, Eckler, Tillman, or Cooper?
I mean, this is one of those that depends what the rest of your running backs and wide receivers look like. On the surface, I would be okay with dropping Eckler only because I like some of the volume Dowdle's been getting. No? I don't know.
He had 10 carries, 2 receptions, 6 yards, and 5 targets. Well, he's getting some volume.
So what's Eckler getting?
But it's not quality. What do you mean? What's Eckler? Eckler's getting enough to be a fantasy relevant. He's been good like all year. I think the best thing for Eckler is going to Washington because Brian Robinson is handling the bulk of the carries, and Austin Eckler doesn't need a lot of the wear and tear isn't as hard on him because he's not getting 20 touches a game.
This is weird. The last 10 minutes you've talked up Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler.
Listen, but look at Eckler's production. He is getting if Eckler was in Washington getting 18 to 20 touches a game, he would look washed. But the fact that he's getting half of that work, he's getting 9.6 touches per game, and he's having a very good for where we drafted him. He's a very good fantasy player, and I think a lot of it's because of they cut his workload in half.
You've talked me into it. So let's just say this, though. If you're stacked at running back and can afford to lose a running back, then we drop Dowdle. If you're stacked at wide receiver and you can afford to lose a wide receiver, I would drop Tillman over Cooper. Because Cooper's been dealing with the injury, but once he's good to go, he's, which, I mean, he did play, but, So, yeah, okay. Daco says, if I have $10 left in must win. How much should I pay for Jonnu Smith? $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in a must win, fucking $10, man. That's like
Yeah.
if you're, if you're at war and if you have 3 bullets in the chamber, do you want to use 2? No, use all 3, man. Go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, and Jonnu's going to give you production the rest of the season. He's getting, a lot of usage now. It looks like he's kind of replaced Waddle a little bit in the pecking order when it comes to target opportunities. So yeah, if I would go all in, right? Like we're getting to a point where the fab isn't going to help you anymore.
Getting asked, Bo Nix or Jordan Love. Bo Nix, by the way, your future rookie of the year. I would say, though, I think this week I go with Jordan Love because the 49ers are having issues defensively. Other 49er fans said I wasn't allowed to talk bad about the defensive coordinator because they lost for other reasons, but I could still talk shit about the defensive coordinator. I despise the way he schemes. I think this 49ers defense would be much better if it was a Rob Saleh in the house or somebody else besides Nick Sorensen. So I'm going to go Jordan Love this week, even though I do think Bo Nix has a good week. Anthony, where are you going on this one? Because he didn't say rest of season, so I assume if it's not rest of season, it's this week. So
who does Bo Nix get? We know
Bo Nix is going to Las Vegas to play the Raiders.
Wow, that matchup is really good. On the other side, Jordan Love was solid against the 49ers, right around 18 fantasy points, 194-2, also threw 2 picks. I'm going to go.
That was a different 49er team, though, man.
I'm going to go.
I'm just saying,
Bo Nix, man. I'm going to go Bo Nix against the Raiders.
I don't hate it. I'm not going to argue with it. Like this isn't going to become a pizza bet. I see it. I watch a lot of the stuff, after the fact. But I watched an on game wire to wire, and I just don't love their vibes defensively. So I'm going Jordan Love here. Can't call me a homer all the time. Anthony, I'm going to leave this question to you while I get myself a beverage.
And when you come back, I need to re-up as well. I'm drinking ginger ale.
Oh, that's fucking soft porn. All right, I'll be right back.
So we have CMDES 2027. What are we saying? Okay. Just got offered Ramondre Stevenson and AJ Brown for Kenneth Walker and Marvin Harrison Jr. So Ram Stevenson and AJ Brown for Walker and Marvin Harrison Jr.
What are we saying, Anthony?
Is there much of a difference right now? Because I would rather have Walker over Ramondre.
Okay.
How much of a difference is there between? Because I don't think there's a big downgrade between Marvin and AJ Brown right now. AJ Brown, until Jalen Hurts starts figuring it out as a thrower of the football again, I don't know if we're going to get these spike weeks out of AJ Brown. He's in a little bit of a scoring drought. He's had some nice matchups, and Marvin, his rest of season schedule is really nice. I think I'd rather have the Walker and Harrison side. I'm a little bit worried about the Eagles' passing attack.
I would agree, actually. And by the way, when we say worry about the passing attack, it has less to do with AJ Brown and more so to do with Saquon Barkley and what they have there. I agree.
AJ has been in 3 out of his past 4 games since week 8 under 15 points. So 13, 5, 15, 11. 0 touchdowns, 1 100-yard game, 2 games under 65. Some nice matchups, yes, but he also had in that 4-game stretch, he didn't do anything against Cincy, didn't do anything against the Jags. That was his worst game. Didn't do anything against Dallas, and Dallas got their asses kicked. And Washington, he was invisible.
Yeah. All right, sweetheart. Go get your ginger ale as if you're
all right
patient at a hospital. Yeah, enjoy yourself. Our own Pete says, only 5 likes. Don't forget to like the dough, meaning the show. Which, by the way, I just checked. This is Pete from about 20 minutes ago because we're very busy. I apologize. But Now we're up to 8. So okay, so you guys are listening a little bit, but a couple more likes won't hurt. Let's see. What is this? Luke. I'm last. I'm last. Oh, I am last. I'm Ron Burgundy. I'm last in my 10-man PPR league right now at 3-8. Oofa, no bueno, buddy. Just need to win and have the points tiebreaker. I get it. My team is Jaden Daniels, Cream Hunt, Monty, Ladd, MHJ, Laporta, Tyrone Tracy, Bench Bijan, and Mooney Buys. I mean, I like this team, though. This is annoying. This tells me you're probably one of those teams that's scoring a lot of points, but you're just running into bad weeks. I mean, I'm not sure what you want me to do. You did comment. I'll get to that a little bit later. We'll bring that up a little bit later. Let's get to friend of the show, Alicia. Right? I said that right, correct? Yeah, I haven't looked at my notes lately. Bye week hurts. Yeah, that they do. As I mentioned, 6 teams are on bye. No good. No Brees, Chase Brown, or Jamar Chase. Both obviously playing the same team. No, those guys are on bye too. So you're just saying all of them. You're just referencing all of them. Yes. Yeah, no, you're in deep shit, Alicia. But we'll try and help you out. Falcons, Bills, Bengals, Saints, Jets, Jaguars, all on bye. That's not good. That's going to be a problem. Also, why does Doug Peterson still have a job? Also, have Mahomes for week 14. I'm only playing these next 3 weeks to avoid last place. What wide receiver should I be looking to get Bijan for? Well, if you're trading Bijan, you're getting top of the food chain. But the problem with that is if you're looking for top of the food chain, you need to find a team. You're going to probably be trading with a team that's higher in the standings than you. Obviously, clearly you're in last, but you're trading for one of those teams that's already solidified a playoff spot probably because they have that good wide receiver. So you need to find somebody that needs a running back that damn bad. So, it's like in my home league now, the guys that are at the top, I'm one of them, of course, we're all starting to look down at the teams that have running backs. At this place, you have one, and we want to acquire them. So I would look to which team really needs a running back, and then go from there. That's kind of how I would approach that. What else did Pete say? Ladd has a chance to finish better than neighbors. He does, and that's because the Giants prepare very well at quarterback, and they're a bunch of assholes, and they paid Drew Lock $5 million to let him know he's still going to be the quarterback 2, but they're going to start the quarterback 3 over him. Paul over on the YouTube says, hey guys, start Downs or Reed this week. I like Reed, but his lack of targets is discouraging. Thank you. Yeah. I remember saying this a bunch during the offseason. The Packers wide receiver room, there's so many guys that we like, but it's hard to tell. It's a bit of fantasy football Russian roulette. We don't know which one's going to hit on which week. Jaden Reed will have no targets, and then all of a sudden he's going to pop up and give you 20 fantasy points. And it's going to be obnoxious because when he does that, he will, of course, be on your bench. But again, I'm just going to be ragging on the Niners this week. I don't like the way they're playing fucking defense. And the Packers are, listen, the Bears, for everything you want to say about the Packers play last week, the Bears are good against the quarterback. The Bears don't have a terrible defense. So yes, we expect them to just be a shit show because of everything going on at the top of the food chain with the head coach, the offensive coordinator, everything else. But the defense itself is still good. So I think Reed, if given the opportunity, which is your concern, I think he can produce against the 49ers. Because to me, the 49ers, they play well in the first half-ish. The second half is when they shit the bed, which is become Kyle Shanahan's comfort zone. But Anthony, is that enough for you to start Reed over Downs? I know you're a Downs guy. We've answered a few questions about him. Downs or Reed?
I do think Downs is safer because of that matchup against Detroit. Downs last week had 5 targets, his lowest since week 3 and only the 3rd time this year. I mean, his lowest since week 7 where he had 3. And there was only 3 times this year that he had fewer than 9 targets. Like, he is a high volume player. Meanwhile, Jaden Reed, he's only had more than 6 targets once. And in 3 out of his past 4 games, he's had 4, 3, and 2. Last week, only 2 targets. He did catch a touchdown. For context, Jordan Love only threw the ball 17 times because, as you were referencing, the Bears have the number one defense against wide receivers. San Francisco on paper, they're 10th, but you seem to think they're a little bit more leaky than that. I'm still going to go Josh Downs. And the reason being, although he only had 5 targets last week, he went 5 for 84 and 1 against the Jets, one of the better defensive back units in the NFL. Now you get Detroit. Like, I'll keep rolling the dice on Downs over these bigger name players who are not seeing the volume. Because, again, like, Jaden Reed has given us, since that 27-point outing in week 4, he's been under 16 PPR points in every game. And then 3 of those games, he's been in the single digits. Like, so week 7, 8, and 11 in the single digits. That is not what I'm expecting from Jaden Reed. And probably at week 12, it's probably a must-win spot for you. Like, give me Josh Downs, who's literally been over double-digit PPR points in all but 2 games this season. Like, he's just a more consistent wide receiver.
I would probably go Downs, but I'm just saying I would not be surprised if this is a week where Reed puts up production. But I would go Downs. Alicia, we talked earlier, Anthony, while you were away getting a ginger ale.
Actually, I got my tea instead.
Oh, even better. That's very nice of you. That's very nice. That's cool. Thank you. Sick invite. I would have drank some tea. I'm just kidding. I'm having a beer. She did come in and say, I'm starting Dobbins, Kupp, and Ridley in place of Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, and Breece Hall. Good replacements, or should I shop? Which is, by the way, we had a question earlier talking about that. Guy was up against it, needed a win, wanted to make a trade just to stay alive. But Dobbins, Kupp, and Ridley, those aren't terrible names, as opposed to what other people are probably dealing with.
Yeah. That is great depth, by the way. Like, I wish with so many good players on a bye, I wish I had Dobbins, Kupp, and Ridley in some of my lineups.
I actually wouldn't be losing a ton of sleep.
No.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to shop? I'm not moving Chase. I'm not moving either Chase or Breece just for a bye week replacement.
No. And
like,
I know
I'm going to flip Breece for Bijan. Bijan's going to buy too.
Right.
You're going to flip Chase Brown for Chuba? I probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. Even though Jonathan Brooks is playing, Chuba's doing that well. Let's see. What else we have? We're going to jump around here with some of these questions because we're getting late in the show. Eventually, I'm going to go to the bottom of the list. If you have any questions that haven't gotten answered yet, feel free to file them in or send in a super chat and we will answer them. I will put this one up because I thought it was interesting. Scorpio over on the YouTube has a very fancy official logo. I like it, actually. Should I trade Aaron Jones for Malik Neighbors? Full point per reception. Anthony, we talked about the old Tommy DeVito effect. Is that enough for you to want to trade Aaron Jones to get Malik Neighbors?
I've been on the sell Neighbors train since that Eagles game. The context was always, if you listen to the show, you would know the Andrew Thomas injury relatively crippled Malik Neighbors' ceiling and cost Daniel Jones his job. Does Tommy DeVito, he's going to probably try to force feed Malik Neighbors. In this case, right, because Aaron Jones is also a sell for me. I might rather have Neighbors because I do think he brings a higher floor than Aaron Jones. Like, sure, Aaron Jones can get back at it and give us those spike weeks. He hasn't done it in 4 games. Cam Akers is creeping into the workload. He's creeping into the snaps. And I also don't trust this Vikings offense with the way it's been playing with Sam Darnold.
Okay. That sounds good.
I guess I would rather have fucking Neighbors. That's crazy. Because both these guys were sells for me.
Man, you with the fucking F-bombs today. What the hell's going on over here?
And is that too cold, Scorpio? Asking for a friend.
Ooh, he's not asking for a friend. He's asking for himself. Tyler Sperry, I saw you ask a question earlier, but we're now at the bottom of the list, so I will pull you up here. He said, sorry, so would you drop Dell or Downs for Judy? And is it okay to start Irving and Otten? Sorry, I should have worded it like this. I thought how you worded it earlier was fine. I just ended up going to the bottom of the list. You're fine, dude. So the latter of that question is he's asking, is it okay to start? Is it okay to potentially play 2 guys on the same team? Which I say yes, especially when you're talking about the Buccaneers offense. I know they've looked like they've struggled a bit with these injuries, but I think Otten will still produce even when Mike Evans returns because there is still Chris Godwin being gone. And I don't mind Irving, just he might not be, depending on what you have depth-wise, he might not be a start every single week. But I don't hate the idea of it, if you have to. Yeah. And then we'll get to the first part.
I'm with you. I don't love starting Irving and Otten. Otten would be the one I'm trying to start on a weekly basis. Irving, I think his workload is going to be predicated on game script. But they use both backs fairly often.
Right.
So I don't hate it. And that's a team that likes to score points. They have to score points, and they have to move the football because their defense does not do them any favors. So if you're going to start multiple players from an offense, make sure it's on a team with a bad defense.
All right. Sounds good to me.
And no to that first part.
All right. I'm sorry. Should you drop Dell down Sir Judy? No. Neither, good sir. Neither. Alicia came back, said Jonnu killed it last week. That he did. Use him for McBride on bye, or do I keep rolling Jonnu this week? They're going up against the Patriots, but Jonnu's kind of working his way in here. Jalen Waddle's been a bit of a disaster, even though we're starting to think this might be a good week for him. Anthony, do you still go Jonnu this week?
Over McBride?
Used him for she's saying she used him for the McBride bye, which
means she's getting McBride back.
Just keep rolling. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it seems like it's McBride or Jonnu. I'm going to go back to McBride. I think the matchup's better. And I think the volume will be there for him. Jonnu's in a nice spot. He's getting the usage, but I don't know if I'm ready to anoint him over Trey McBride yet against Seattle.
Then we have the next question she had was CJ Stroud or Russell Wilson this week. I go Russell Wilson this week. Going up against the Browns on Thursday Night Football. And then it was CJ Stroud going up against, I'm sorry, we said this earlier, Tennessee Titans. That game is in Houston at 1 p.m. on Sunday. But I go Russell Wilson here on Thursday night, me personally.
Let me pull up, let's see what Stroud had. Yeah, Stroud last year did not perform relatively well against Tennessee. I'm going to go with Russ here. I need to see Stroud. In theory, it should have been a nice game for him yesterday against Dallas. I think momentum was taken away. There's a world where if that Nico touchdown counts, Stroud and Nico are the ones who are popping. Joe Mixon still has a game. He still scores. But that would have been I think momentum kind of crushed CJ right there and Nico Collins. But I need to see CJ Stroud get on track. And I don't know if it's this week against Tennessee.
Yeah, agreed. This is an interesting name and even more interesting with the picture. Just a lot to ponder. But Potato Juice 4811. Gotta admit, I'm an Irishman, but I love my potatoes, but I don't do potato juice. Anyway, do I send AJ Brown for T. Higgins? Anthony, first question: do you want potato juice?
No.
Okay, cool. Because you made a face like you were interested. Do I send AJ Brown for T. Higgins? No, I don't do that either. I don't want potato juice, and I don't want to trade. Because all right.
I think that's close, man.
Sure, it's close, but here's my thing with T. Higgins. I don't trust if he doesn't feel quite right, if something pops up, if he doesn't want to play. The Bengals are a sinking ship this year, unfortunately, even though they're exciting to watch. He's going to be a free agent. I'm buying into that whole, if he doesn't feel so hot, why go out there and risk it, especially when there's nothing going on? Playoff hopes are dim at best over there. I wouldn't do it.
Higgins, the reason why he's going to go out and play his ass off, because, yes, he's going to be a free agent. He needs to prove, if he wants wide receiver one money, he has to prove he can put up consistent wide receiver one production. He's done that a little bit this year when healthy. 2 games over 29 fantasy points. very high floor these other games. I don't think he's going to go out there in free agency and get the type of money he wants until and he needs to show that he can stay healthy the rest of the way. And I think he has to pop. So I don't think he's going to try to hang it up. I don't think the NFL views him, because I don't certainly view him all the time as a 1A, 1B with Jamar Chase, like right. People used to. I think he's the wide receiver too. And if he wants one money, he's got to step up and play one football a little bit more. But no, I'm not doing this deal. It's close, but I'm not.
I also like the Eagles schedule the rest of the way a little bit more than the Bengals in terms of wide receivers and points allowed to the position. Alyssa Dolphin Cloud, which sounds cool. Dolphin Clouds. That sounds like a good time. Would you drop Jordan Love to get Mayfield or AR for the playoffs? I would want to look at something first before I think I would go with Baker Mayfield, especially with Mike Evans looking like he's on the way back. Not Anthony Richardson, because again, I get it. Anthony Richardson could be great. He looked awesome on those running touchdowns this past week. But I don't know if I could trust it. That's the thing with him. He could come out and he could be incredible and win a fantasy title. I get it. But he could also come out and look like dog shit and show that completion percentage that's abysmal. I trust Mayfield more than I do AR, and I would go AR over Love based on matchups.
AR, you're right. He had league-winning upside last week, over 30 fantasy points, depending on where you play. One of his better games as a thrower, complete game as a runner. But am I ready to trust him yet? No. Right. Is Steichen, was last week, Steichen, hey, let's design this offense a little bit easier around his skill set, because Steichen's a very good OC, very good quarterback guy. I don't know, what is Baker's rest of season schedule? Because Baker versus Love is where I'm at right now. If you want to gamble, if you want to roll the dice on AR, sure. But I'm not, I wouldn't personally do that. I would take one of these more proven quarterbacks. What does the Baker Mayfield schedule look like?
That is the rest of the way. They are playing the Giants, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Cowboys, and the Panthers again in week 17, which would be your championship week for most people.
Yeah, I might leave Baker here because I have Love in front of me.
And then for the complete psychopaths that play a fantasy championship in week 18, it would be against the Saints.
Yeah, with Evans coming back, and they're also playing for playoffs. They're playing for division. I'm going to lean Baker here.
Tyler Sperry really wants us to give him an answer that we didn't give last time. He said, so since you don't trust Richardson, would you drop Downs or Dell? No. It's still no. It's still no. Because here's the deal. A quarterback cannot be great for fantasy, but a skill position player could still do well at times. It's not always a lock. It doesn't always correlate, but
Downs has been quarterback proof all year.
Right.
Even the bad Anthony Richardson has given Downs production.
Tyler, you're fucking dying to drop one of those guys, huh? What's going on, man? What do you want to talk about? Well, clearly you want to drop one of those guys. That's what you want.
And Tank Dell, if you
I forget if he said this earlier, so Tyler, forgive me, but just comment quick and we'll circle back to you. Who do you want to drop Downs or Dell for?
Judy.
He said Judy. No.
Listen.
No.
For context, 3 straight games, Judy's been over 12.9 PPR points. He's getting volume 8, 11, and 11. But this schedule, Pittsburgh, Denver, KC, Cincy, Miami. A lot of top 8 matchups when it comes to tough fantasy matchups for wide receivers. I get it. Winston's going to sling it. Are they going to be the same quality of targets against these tough-ass defenses? It's not going to be the Saints every week.
Nothing for you.
Yeah.
I think Judy scored that big touchdown on broken coverage. And he walked into the end zone. That's not going to happen with Pittsburgh, Denver, Kansas City, or Miami. Maybe Cincy. But it's not going to happen with those other teams.
Frank Williams over on the old YouTube there. He said, please, Frank, like the show if you haven't. People don't like us today. Would you trade Otten and ride with Taysom rest of season, rest of the way, or keep them both? Well, I would say don't make a move. Like, don't trade Otten right now and ride with Taysom because Taysom Hill's on bye this week. So don't do that. But I don't know.
Both. I might just keep both.
I would keep both. Yeah,
Like
I would keep.
what do you want to trade for? What position do you need? And
You know
what do
what
you think a tight end's going to bring you?
I wouldn't mind, honestly, I wouldn't mind keeping Otten because, like I said earlier, I think Otten's going to get a better path to production, even with Mike Evans returning, because Chris Godwin's out. Taysom Hill, I know he went fucking bananas this past week. I loved it just as much as everybody else that had him rostered loved it. But can we really trust Taysom Hill to be like that every single week? But can I trust some stupid idiot in my league to think that he's going to be and then trade Taysom Hill to get something to upgrade my team? I could do that.
Taysom would be the sell high right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like you could use car salesman and just say, "Hey, man, look at what he did here. Look at this shiny, look at this shiny week 11." You can make that
he's
work.
given us 2 other games, 14 and 16, but he's like a roller coaster. It's like 14-6, 16-8, 45. What's it going to be now? He's basically the guy, and I do the RotoWire show with Jim Coventry, and we were talking about this on Monday. And he said, I'm just going to put him in my lineup and take what he gives me. And like, instead of trying to guess, because the floor is high enough at the tight end position, 6-8 points. Like, that's a lot of tight ends sometimes. That's a Kincaid a lot of this year. But like, in terms of like, can you flip Taysom Hill and potentially steal a really good player? Meanwhile, you still have Cade on his worst game against the 49ers going to the bye. I believe he still had 8 targets and gave us like 8 PPR points. He's going to get the volume. Evans is coming back. But where Otten is going to thrive, where Chris Godwin, the middle of the field, the intermediate routes, that's where Otten is still going to have value in this offense. So I kind of like that thought process, Mike. Sell really high on Taysom Hill if you can.
Great success. Alicia says Thielen over Debo. Yeah, Debo did that bad last week, huh? Nah, you don't do that. Here's the thing. Debo did not look good last week. I get it. He did not. I have him in a couple of leagues too. It burned me, but the Niners are in a spot here. I said it earlier. They got to win every single game. They do. Every game's a must win now. Because now it's like fucking at this point, it's pretty much forget about division because you've lost so many games in the division. Now you got to get a wild card spot. So they can't afford to be losing games. So I think this is a situation where it's CMC, we're going to ride you. And if the wheels fucking fall off, they fall off, brother. And Debo, we're fucking riding you too, dude. Like, this is it. They're going to get on their horses now. That's what I think is going to happen. So I still go Debo. I don't know if the Niners win this week against the Packers. I really don't. But
I mean, there's some like I would take Jennings over Debo. I wouldn't take Adam fucking Thielen over Debo. Like Adam Thielen.
Hey, be nice. Be nice to Adam. What do you do to you? What's the matter with you?
Like
fuck, man.
I get Bryce Young looks a little bit competent, but I don't know. Like I think we're going too far into the Debo slander.
And the Panthers are where are they? Where are you guys? Oh, they're going up against Kansas City? Fuck no. No, Alicia. No. I always say your name like that. It's just for fun. Sorry. Apologize if that's annoying. But you still come back, so apparently it's not annoying enough. Dynasty's My Life says appreciate your feedback as always. He did ask us a question. I'm going to get to that in a second. We are going to go over to Edward Abarca over on the YouTube. I have 2 questions. All right. Should I start Worthy as he goes against the Panthers? And should I start Baker or Nix? Well, should you start Worthy against the Panthers? I mean, that's more of a That's the question. I don't know if you could trust him on a week-to-week basis. I think you can trust. I think he could produce against the Panthers. I'll put it to you that way. But yeah, I need to know who else you'd be starting him over.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, he's usable, but
right, he's usable. Yes,
over
again,
who?
especially against the Panthers. But also Baker or Bo Nix. We mentioned this. Bo Nix is going up against the Raiders. Baker Mayfield is going up against the Giants. Both players are on the road. Was what I was trying to say.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. This is tough. I think I'm gonna still go Bo Nix here.
I'd probably go Bo Nix here, but I think they finished close to one another. I'll put it that way. I could see them finishing within 5 points of one another.
Yeah.
And he did come back and say he had Mooney, but Mooney has a bye. So I think this right. Does Mooney have a bye? Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's one of the 6 teams. Yes, he is. I apologize. So I think this is more reassurance. Can I play him? Which I think you can. Yeah. Yeah. Dynasty is my life. Did say he smothered us with a nice comment and then asked a question. So that's how you do it, man. Did I make a big oops? I just traded Hawkinson and 2 mid-late first rounders for Drake London.
Wow.
That's what the 12 team I said stupid. Super flex start 9. I have Bowers and Andrews. Okay.
You could have gotten it done for Hawkin first.
You definitely could have, man. So you made noobs, but my friend, you did.
I get you needed wide receiver help.
Like me waking up and forgetting how my night ended.
Like you
probably made noobs.
Like it could have been 2 firsts. I could see.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkinson and 2 firsts. I think that's a ton to pay for Drake London.
He said I needed the wide receiver help, and I'm good at RB, B. John Hall, B. Rob Jr. How bad? So, I mean, I get it, but yeah, not great, Bob.
You could have probably traded 1 first for fucking Mike Evans at his age.
Not to mention Drake London's on bye this week, so it doesn't help you this week. So I hope you have the horses to play because you said you need the wide receiver help. So, like, do you need the wide receiver help in week 12, or are you okay week 12 and otherwise you're thin?
Yeah.
I don't. I love to come on here and give encouraging thoughts to people, but I don't fucking like that at all.
Be honest, yeah, we gotta be honest.
I'm gonna be honest. That's you fucking oops, dude. Like that's
oops.
That's that just happened. Alyssa did come back. Now we have an Alicia and we have an Alyssa, so we got to be clear here. But she's a Dolphin Cloud, and she said, "Thanks for the last question. Would you drop James Cook for Tracy rest of the season?" Anthony, you have Tyrone Tracy's name written all over your Trapper Keeper with hearts around it. You're probably wearing his underwear with his face on it. Would you trade? I mean, would you drop James Cook for your heartthrob? Oh, wow.
No, but why can't you drop somebody else? How not deep is your league? How not deep is the league is the question.
Yeah.
That you are. Number 1, he shouldn't be on waivers. Number 2, like, what does your bench look like? What else do you have?
Yeah, I agree. I concur on that one. Yeah, I was just kind of smirking because on this show, we love to answer your questions with a question. That's our favorite thing to do here. Chop PPX Dub. Okay, that's what the cool kids called me back in the day. Tracy or Hunt? I'm gonna go Tracy
this week.
Yeah, well, yeah. If it's rest of the season, I'm going Tracy. If it's this week, we got Tracy going up against the Buccaneers, which we mentioned, and Kareem Hunt is going up against the Carolina Panthers. If it's this week, I go Hunt.
See, Pacheco is expected to come back. I'm not expecting Pacheco to get a full workload out the gate. Plus, it's the Panthers, number 32 against running backs. There's a world where this might be where Pacheco and Kareem Hunt can both do some damage.
Sure.
And here's my I said this all last week about the Lions game and about the
Mhm.
Houston game. They played each other. A lot of turnovers, a lot of questions. Like, even though Detroit won, I said they're probably going to want to throw 50 on the board against Jacksonville. They need that confidence back. Jared Goff needs that confidence back after throwing 5 picks. What do? They go stomp a mud hole in Jacksonville. What does the Texans do? I get Stroud could have looked a little bit better, but that defense dominated Dallas. Well, Kansas City's coming off their first loss of the year. They get the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to want to establish dominance in this game.
Yeah, they play a lot of close games, and then now they lost one. Now they're going to be like, you know what? Now we're angry. This is one of those stupid Travis Kelce, no one believed in us sort of thing. I can see that being a thing. Fucking idiot, Travis Kelce.
Maybe that's why what's his name said Peyton Hendershot's going to be a deep sleeper because they might just want to drop 75.
That guy, Travis Kelce, if he's watching this show, he's going to say, whoever asks if Peyton Hendershot's a sleeper, you inspired me to be great. Only because I saw Jared X this earlier. Anthony, I don't know when we want to wrap up. We're at an hour 15.
We can wrap up now.
All right. Well, I did see Jared X this. So
then
we
can
will
do
answer.
Luis.
All right.
And Ray. We'll rapid fire the shit out.
We're going to do you all. Got to play that music in the background. That's soft porn music. Jared Fortin, he said, this show has been a record for Downs and Dell questions. Is Waddle for Downs or Dell a fair trade? What do you guys have against Downs or Dell? That's the real question, as we answer a question with a question. But no, seriously, is Waddle for Downs or Dell fair?
I would want Downs. If you're getting Downs, yes. I would not do it for Dell.
I agree. Luis, because Anthony said we're going to do you. Should I accept this trade? I received Nico Collins, and I give Tracy and McLaurin.
Yep.
Yeah, I do that. Yep, I do that. Yep, Nico's back. Ride the lightning. And Rave N says, start 2. Wait, start 2. Bench 1. I apologize. So, Tyrone Tracy, Deebo Samuel, Lad McConkey. So he's got to start 2 of these guys, Anthony. He's got to bench one of them.
I'm sitting Deebo.
You're sitting Deebo. The Chargers. We said this
Ravens.
earlier. Oh, they're on Monday night against the Ravens. Yeah, actually. In this case.
Yeah.
Earlier when we asked about Adam Thielen, no way. But here, yeah, I would bench Deebo here. I would go Tyrone Tracy and Lad McConkey. Yeah. Is that you popping up another question?
Yes.
Clearly. Why'd I ask that? Why'd I just ask if that was you who hit the button when it's me and you and my hands were over here? Fucking hell. We got to end this show. Go ahead. Read it, Anthony.
No, why? I don't like reading it. You read it.
Reading's fundamental, man. Trade Jamar for Brown. I really need to win and can't afford Chase's buy.
You need to get more, Nick. Like, I get you really need a win, but that is not like Jamar Chase is on another stratosphere over a lot of wide receivers right now, including AJ Brown.
God,
you need to get more. Like, you need to get Jamar and something else or figure something else out. Like, I really don't want, like, even if you have to, I don't know if I can stomach it.
Yeah. And the problem is that whoever is trading Brown is leaning on you're trading for the name as opposed to, like you said earlier, you're a little worried about the passing attack for the Eagles.
Jamar Chase, 80 fantasy points in the past 2 games. And get the schedules. It's a little bit of a tough schedule, but this is an elite wide receiver.
Sure.
Yeah,
you need more.
I don't know,
you need more,
man.
Nick. You need more.
You need more.
I will just tell you and everybody else who's watching, if you do leave a comment after this show, I'm more active in there now too, though. But either Anthony or myself or Pete or whomever will get back to you if something else materializes trade wise. Also, we will be back on Thursday and Friday, and tomorrow night is The mediators, correct?
Yes,
Mediators are
tomorrow
on?
night's the
Yeah.
mediators, and our sit videos start coming out tomorrow.
It means graphics time. All right. So, all right. That's going to do it for today. Did you have anything to say for graphics
No,
time?
just
You
said it about the mediators.
want to drop any other F-bombs or do anything
No, I'm
else
good.
fucking
I'm
inappropriate?
good.
Talk about your ginger ale or your tea or whatever the fuck it is
No,
you're
I'm
drinking?
good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm
You're good.
actually going to watch my Lionel Messi anytime goal scorer bet play out.
Okay.
And I'm going to also live bet the Argentina-Peru match because it's 0-0, 29 minutes in, and I see 2 goals.
I'm probably going to watch the Penguin because I'm upset that it's over. So I'll just watch it. Don't cry because it ended. Smile because it happened. One of those sort of bits. But yeah, so there you go. That'll do it for today. Until next time, stay thirsty. Be kind to one another. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Cheers.